Welcome into the Flippin' Hippos YouTube channel. This is Star. Today is Monday, April 4th, and because it's a Monday, that means it's time for What Sold on eBay. So we are just getting back onto YouTube in 2022, and we are starting on a Monday, which means I get to do one of my favorite videos that I do for you guys. This will follow the old format. If you're new to the channel and you haven't seen one of my What Sold videos before, I pick out the highlights of our sales from the past week on eBay. I do show you all of the plush that sold, every single one, because I'm the plushie queen and I love plush. But then as far as other items, I just pick out the Polos, the best sales that we've had. And if we've made any mistakes this week or had something that maybe we shouldn't have sourced that you should avoid, I will show those too. So it's usually not, it's not always a highlight reel. I do show you our mistakes and talk about those as well as try to point out to you things that you should be looking for when you're outsourcing. So let's just jump right on in with what you're looking at here. I did only have one plush move on eBay last week, but it was a good one, as you can see. This is a dandy Christmas snowflake teddy. We have about 10 of these, I think, that we just listed. They came in a wholesale lot and cost about $1 a piece for us. And then after we had listed all of them, we were at a thrift store that's local to here, and just kind of exploring the area and checking out new thrift stores. And we found one more there that they sold us. It was $1.99, but it was on sale, so we got it for $1. So we have a handful of these in the store. This is the first one to sell. They've been up for about a week, I'd say. So this one was a fast mover. The other ones, I'm not so sure. They are Christmas plush, but if I see these out in the wild, I will be snagging them. They are vintage. Most of them are vintage, I should say. This one is from 2010, so it's only 12 years old. So that's not vintage. Vintage, it needs to be 20 years, in case you guys are wondering. If an item is 20 years or older, so 2002 or older at this point, geez. When I say 20 years ago, I'm thinking 1990, but no, 2002, sorry. And sooner. A lot of the bears we had were from the 90s. So they are all different. It looked like they had a male and a female for every year in different outfits. So if you guys see these out there, they are by Dade, which is a good brand of plush to be looking for. And then specific ones like this are real good. This is a little princess bear. She was first class to ship, and she sold for $19.99. All right, next up we have a Columbia PFG men's vented fishing shirt. I've talked about these in the past. These are definitely something everyone should be looking out for when you're outsourcing, is the Columbia PFG vented fishing shirts. Typically you're going to find them in solid colors, but these colorful ones that have the designs or the plaid on them are going to go for a little bit more, and they're going to sell faster. And some of them will have this tag that says Super Bahama. Those are more sought after as well. This is a size 3XL. We did not have a size tag on it, as you can see here, so we disclosed that in the description. The size tag is worn away. We measured the chest measurement and compared it to a standard US size measurement chart. There is a copy of that in our Facebook group if you need it. It is in the albums under useful pictures for resellers. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, it's called Flippin' Hippos. Flippin' Hippos? It's Flippin' Hippos. And again, you guys, I know I'm just getting back on YouTube. If you're not familiar with the format or how I do things around here, usually if I make a mistake or a flub like that, I don't edit it out. I just keep going. It's part of my charm. I don't know, part of my laziness. Anyway, the Facebook group is called the Flippin' Hippos Reseller Pod. It's on Facebook. There's a link in the box down below. You can search for us as well. There is, within the gallery of photos on there, folder for resellers, and it has all kinds of useful information in there. It's also a really great community to be a part of. So back to the Columbia shirt. This was about $2 at Salvation Army, and it sold for $26.24, and it did ship first class. Next up, we have some John men's jeans. This used to be a really high-end brand as far as eBay goes. I remember just a few years ago, I sold Sean John jeans for $40, $50. Just like with most brands, things tend to get lower in value when people start racing to the bottom for that fast nickel, which is why I always preach against that. And I always tell people to, when you comp it, at least list comparable to what the items are selling for currently or listed for. But when people start trying to undercut each other and race for that fast nickel, it can just absolutely damage brands and just, make them not worth what they used to be. If you're a longtime viewer, that's my soapbox. I talk about it all the time, but this is a good example. These are jeans that just 2 years ago, even during the shutdown, would have sold for $50. And I did take a best offer of $23 on them. They did ship in a padded flat, and our cost was right around $250 at a half off sale. So next up, we have these St. John's Bay jeans. These are rather old. These came with us from Pittsburgh when we moved here to Florida. These were 99 cents at the Goodwill. I picked them up because they were new with tags and they were red. So they weren't your typical blue jeans. They were also new and they were only 99 cents. So I picked them up. They did finally sell this week for $19.99 and they were first class to ship. So that was kind of nice. We didn't have to pay for a padded flat. Next up, we have this Ralph Lauren women's polo shirt. I found this for 75 cents at a local thrift, and it was up for about 2-3 days before it sold, so this was a fast seller. This has the big pony on it and some patches. Ralph Lauren, again, is one of those brands that some of the stuff is worth a lot and some isn't. This was also an extra large. And again, when you see this big pony, that usually means it's going to go for a little bit more and sell a little bit quicker. I did take a best offer of $18 and it shipped first class. Next up, we have this black clover hat. This was in a wholesale lot that we purchased. Cost was about $1. And it sat in an I don't want to pile for a very long time until we finally got around to it in the last couple of weeks. It sold within a week of being listed. It is new with tags. I don't mess around with hats that often because they give me the heebie-jeebies, kind of like how I get skeeved out with shoes and thinking about people's gross feet. Hats are kind of like the other end of the spectrum. Like, you don't know what's on people's heads. Do they wash their hair? Do they have lice? You guys know I have like a germaphobe thing, which is weird because I thrift and resell for my job, but that's what it is. But I will do new with tags hats all day long. These black clover hats are good. So if you see them, I would even say you could pick them up used if they don't bother you. I know a lot of people do shoes and hats, no probs, no issues like I have. We sold this one for $20 on a best offer. It shipped first class. Now we did put it in a small box. I can't remember the size, but it was just large enough that we could fold the back of the hat in and then protect the bill and ship it that way. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of talking about these Tommy Bahama men's shirts with the big, large patches on the back. I will be showcasing this one in my group tonight. I have a post scheduled to go out to show this to the members over there and talk a little bit about how these are polos. And so you'll see that if you're in the Facebook group. But these have these patches on the back. Now, just like with anything, it's going to depend on which patch you have, how your shirt's going to comp or what it's going to sell for. Some of the patches that we saw when we were comping these on these Tommy Bahamas were $100 shirts, $150 shirts. Some of them were very expensive. And then there's these that comp around 30. So 30 to 40. So we had found 4 of these at a local thrift on a half off day. And this one and this one were in really good condition. This one and the next one had some damage. And I'm going to talk about these each individually and show you the damage. But I just wanted to point out that we found all 4 of them on a half off sale. We saw what they were. They're the Tommy Bahama men's shirts, button downs with these big patches on the back. We saw that 2 of them had damage. So we comped the Tommy Bahama patch shirts right there in the store. We looked for some similar to these patches or the exact ones and other ones that had damage to see what people were selling them for. And depending on the amount of damage, people were selling them for anywhere from $12 to $16. So we decided it was still worth it to pick up these 2. Now, with anything else, probably not, but there are some brands or some graphics or types of clothing out there, guys, that even with damage, if your cost of goods is low enough, if you're getting it cheap enough, it is still absolutely worth it to source them. And this is a really good example of that, because this one sold for $12 on a best offer. This one sold at $16. Both had damage, which I will talk about in just a second. And then the other 2 that we got sold for the this one we took a best offer, $33, and the other one sold at the $49.99. So it was absolutely worth it to pick up all 4. We spent $12, I believe, on all 4 of them, and they all sold within 2 days of being listed, even the damaged ones. So we brought them home, we washed them. The next day they were photographed. Keith listed them, and within 2 days after that, they had already sold. So under a week. And that is just an example that I wanted to talk about a little bit with you guys of things that you can find that are worth a lot of money. One, this is a bolo. If you find them in good condition, great. If they have some damage on them, still pick them up, because like I said, we saw them selling for $12 to $16 even with damage. So this one is the Desert Marlin Puffin' and Playin' with 2 cigars. It's a size XXL, and we did take the best offer of $33, shipped first class. The next one is the Most Interesting Parrot, embroidered patched with the golf club and its little feet, talons. And this one is just a XL, and it sold for $49.99, and it shipped first class. Next up, we have this Tommy Bahama Grapefruit League Spring Training. This one has the baseball glove and the baseball there, and it's graphic. The damage on this one was a bottom button that was loose and torn, which caused a hole, which we put in the description here, as well as put a photo of it here. And even with that, it sold for $15.99, and it also shipped first class. This was also a size XL. And then this one, size XL, is a Tommy Bahama Downwind Paradise with a nice sailboat. And then their logo fish there on the flag of the sailboat. And this one's damage was a little more extensive, which is why this one only sold for a best offer of $12. This one had stains and spots under the sleeves and near the pocket. And one sleeve also had a hole. So we put all of that in the description so the buyer clearly, if they bother to read it, knows what they're getting into. And then we always put pictures of it so they can see it. So again, this one sold for $12, and it also shipped first class. Next up, we have a Harley Davidson men's t-shirt. This is a little bit older, so this had been 99 cents at the Goodwill, actually. It came from Pittsburgh with us. I don't know why it took so long to sell. It was new with tags. It could have been the size. It's a medium. Men's shirts that are like smalls and mediums typically are a little harder to sell and will take a little bit longer. They're not as sought after sizes. Even a large can be difficult sometimes. We find the best ones are like XL and XXL. This was one that I actually ended on eBay and then relisted again to kind of boost it up in searches and make it a new listing and maybe get some eyeballs on it. And once I did that, it sold within like a week. So it could have just went stale. It could have just been that when I ended it and relisted it, it was the right time and the right person was looking for something that would wear a medium. Sold for $17.99. shipped first class. Next up, we have a pair of men's Levi's Strauss 545 loose fit jeans. I always tell folks Levi's are typically going to be a bolo, but you want to make sure that you're comping them as well, or at least doing some studying and getting to know them. There are some Levi's that will only comp at like 18 to 20, and then there's some that will comp at 40 and 50 and even up from there. It depends on the exact style, the numbers. So, get to know them, do some studying, or just comp them as you're in the store before you purchase them. These were only $3 on a half off. So I went ahead and got them. They sold for $25 on a best offer, and they did ship in a padded flat. Here's an example of one of our remotes that sold last week. We moved quite a few of our $12 to $15 remotes, like the bread and butter ones. But this is one that you could absolutely pick up on a one-off, or if you find it in a lot that you purchased, absolutely grab these plasma remotes. This is a Pioneer, but if you ever see a plasma at like a yard sale, church sale, or thrift store, go ahead and comp it and see if you're going to purchase it, because most of the plasma remotes will go for 20 and higher, regardless of brand. Our remotes costs are always like 25 cents for us. And they this one went for 18 on a best offer, and it shipped first class. And then last but not least, this NFL Green Bay Packers reversible pullover windbreaker. It's pretty cool. It's got one side that's green, all green basically with like the yellow stripe, and the other side's green with the yellow sleeves. This side just has the Green Bay logo and the NFL logo. And then when you turn it inside out, it says Packers. It has a nice side zip there. And it does reverse. So this sold for $55 on a best offer. One of our more exciting sales last week, especially because this has a story with it. So this was about $1 in a wholesale lot. We found it in a box with some other kinds of shirts, and it didn't have a size tag. So it just kind of got set aside because we knew we would need measurements. And nobody wanted to mess around with it. And I gave it to Keith, and he put it in his I don't want to pile. And it sat there for a couple of weeks. And then I was doing jeans one day, and I'm like, well, I'm already going to be sitting down to do measurements on the jeans. I'll just go ahead and measure this, and then I'll take the pictures and I'll list it. And it sold that night. So we were avoiding this. It was an I don't wanna. And when I finally got my button gear and just went ahead and did it, took the measurements, got the photos, it sold that same night. So you guys, if you have I don't wanna piles, go through them and list anything that you're willing to put the work into. And if you're really not going to do it, get rid of it, redonate it, take it as a write-off. But the stuff that ends up in your I don't wanna piles, sometimes you're just avoiding it for various reasons. And you can just get over yourself like I did, get it listed. And a lot of those things will sell very quickly. So this was our exciting sale of the week, not only because of what it sold for, $55 and shipped first class, but because we were avoiding it for so long, and we really shouldn't have. But again, it could have been one of those in the right place at the right time when we listed it. So guys, that is it for this week. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can leave them down below, and I will get back to you. Again, if you're not a member of our Facebook group, you should be. Flippin' Hippos Reseller Pod. You can also find us on Instagram. Until next time, guys, go be productive, go make some money. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Y'all are the best. Bye.